goes to right. Russell Westbrook. You love the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me get a hell yeah!
Yo, what is up, everybody? It is Dives, Mr. Crockpot on Twitter. Welcome to Party on Broad. POB can be found on iTunes and Spotify. Make sure you smash that subscribe button and like button here at the Painted Lines YouTube channel. Today is our preview show of the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Seattle Seahawks on Monday Night Football. Before we get there, though, let's do our introductions and let's kind of do our final takeaways during the loss, the 22-17 loss versus the Cleveland Browns. Joining us today is my man Dylan, the host of the Faithful Fanatics podcast. Follow them on Twitter at FaithfulFans2. Follow my man Dylan on Twitter at DylanJD98. What's up, Dylan?
What's going on, Dives? My allergies are beating my ass today. So I promise if I'm crying out of this eye, I'm not upset about the Eagles. My allergies are working off.
You don't have to lie, man.
I hope not, because the Eagles don't deserve your tears.
All right, that's great. Also joining us tonight is my man Shane. Follow him on Twitter at @halfandhalf_TPL, but also go to thepaintedlines.com. He wrote an in-depth breakdown of the Eagles versus Browns game. What's up, Shane?
So, I'm wearing the world champions, turning it the wrong way, the world champions hat. And when I put that on this morning, I thought back to a nicer time when the Eagles won the Super Bowl. And I was like, if the Eagles never win another game, I can still die a happy man. And every week that's being proven wrong. So, but I'm doing good.
I was listening to a really good interview. Daryl Morey joined Anthony Gargano on 97.5 The Fanatic, and he was talking. He kind of gave us fans, some slack, saying like, "You just won a Super Bowl like 2.5-3 years ago. Like, come on!" And I was like, "No, that's not how this works. That's not how it works at all." We also have my man Rob joining. He's rebooting his computer. He'll be joining any second. What's going on? So we did something really fun. This week. We did a live stream during the Eagles and Browns game. We also shortened the video to give you our favorite reactions during that game. Like, Dylan, how did the live stream go, man?
Dude, it was a blast, honestly. I mean, I didn't know how it was going to work out because I've said this. I'm very loud. I think if you watch the live stream, you've got a little glimpse of it. I tried to hone it down a little bit. I'm very loud. I'm very animated and emotional during Eagles games. And I'm also business. I don't worry about anything else but what's on the screen in front of me. But I had an absolute blast. I felt bad for you. Your TV was a play and a half behind mine and Rob. So me and Rob were already on second and 10, and you're 2 plays before. I felt really bad, but I had a blast. I hope everyone who watched had a blast. And the video you made afterwards just kind of described it. And not to mention with how shitty of a day and a game it was, that made it a little bit easier. Yeah.
All right. Also joining us is Rob, the voice of the people. Follow him on Twitter at Philly_Madness, #voice of the people. Follow him on Thursday nights here at the Painted Lines YouTube channel. He is the co-host of the Madness podcast with Jessica Town. What's up, Rob?
I want to thank Brian Baker, one of our favorite, for the name. He put that out there. And I was like, dude, I'm going to take this and run with it. It was awesome watching back your 15-minute highlight.
Oh, good.
Especially watching the progression of how many IPAs I drank and how much more ridiculous my comments got. I've never been to Cleveland, and you might have thought I spent a lot of time there the way I ripped the shit out of that city towards the end of that podcast. But I had a lot of fun with it, man. I may have to join the second half on Monday if we do this again. I don't know if I could get in on the first half.
Okay.
But it made it. It gave me something to laugh about after the fact when I was miserable as shit because of how bad our team is. And I'll talk about my choice of outfit once we get rolling here.
Yeah, the other takeaway during the live stream was getting bombarded by Cleveland Browns fans, pounding their chest, talking trash about some amazing accomplishment of beating the Philadelphia Eagles, who were an absolute train wreck. That was a blast. We ripped them. We ripped the entire city of Philadelphia or of Cleveland. Sorry, especially you, Rob. It was a blast. But anyway, let's dive into our final takeaways of this loss versus the Cleveland Browns. I'm not going to touch on Doug Peterson or Carson Wentz this week. I'll leave those up to you guys because personally, like, I am sick and tired of it. This team is exhausting. We've discussed those issues ad nauseum over and over again. It's like beating a dead horse. So that's for you guys. I imagine that's where you guys begin and end. My biggest takeaway with the loss versus the Browns is what is the freaking direction of this team? Trying to win now or rebuilding, trying to build towards the future. It's impossible to tell from outside because Jim Schwartz and Doug Peterson are so completely blind on utilizing the talent that's on this roster. You have two guys who habitually put their own players in positions to fail the last 2 years. Case in point, Carson Wentz. Doug Peterson saying that he needs to move Wentz around the pocket more, I think yesterday, is an absolute crime. Carson Wentz, like everyone and their grandmother knows you need to move Carson Wentz out of the pocket. Carson Wentz was designed to move out of the pocket one time against the Cleveland Browns. I think he dropped back like nearly 40 times, once in 40 times. The end result of that play was an 8-yard completion to Travis Fulgham. This team has no clue how to use its players or put them in positions to succeed, and that starts at the top. You look at Nate Gary over Davion Taylor. You look at Travis Fulgham being non-existent these last 2 weeks. Starting Jason Peters over Jordan Mailata is an absolute crime. I understand that Mailata's not a star, but you got to start thinking long-term here. Jalen Mills is the absolute worst, and having him get minutes over Kayvon, give me a freaking break. Jalen Reagor was barely involved in the game plan, and don't get me started that, he had 5 targets and 4 catches. The majority of that was with 3 minutes left in the fourth quarter. He didn't get looks until then. So just you imagine an offense utilizing Jalen Reagor's skill set, his explosiveness against a defense that struggled against the pass, is not getting him the ball in space. So it's just, and then we get to Alshon. The fact that Alshon Jeffrey is still on this team is absolutely mind-blowing. During the last 2 games, Alshon has been targeted 3 times. He had a drop and another target led to an interception against the Browns. So on my side, the season is over. I'm sorry. The Eagles season is over. It's now time to focus on getting the kids snaps, building to the long run, building for the long term. But on my end, do I expect the Eagles to make the smart play and make that move? Absolutely freaking not. This is a management. This is a coaching staff that has that refuse to say their shit doesn't stink. They refuse to hold themselves accountable. They refuse to look at themselves in the mirror. That is my final take. And it's just something we've been saying over and over and over again. Floor is yours, Rob.
Sorry, I'm eating some pretzels. But, okay, you're not going to mention Doug. I'm going to mention him quite a bit. Okay, I am wearing a shirt that I created back a couple years ago when everyone wanted this guy fired. All right, they wanted Brett Brown fired a couple years ago, and I said I stand with Brett. I was wrong. Okay, I was wrong. Brett Brown, his biggest issue, his biggest flaw was that he really wanted to run his system no matter if he had the players for it. Right? And you saw what happened. It was a debacle. And he didn't hold guys accountable, and all that kind of stuff. What's funny to me is the same guys that attacked him want to put all the blame now on Carson Wentz. Now, Carson has been bad, and frankly, I'm getting annoyed with him in the post-game press conferences. I'm getting annoyed by him saying, I don't have to change. Nah, dude, you do. You're making mistakes. And I'm not even saying they're all on you, but there is quite a few that are on you as a professional that needs to step the hell up. Like, I'm not going to use this pod to defend Carson, but I am going to use this pod to rip Doug Peterson. Okay, for a few things. Number one, he made a comment after the game that he called quite a few rollout plays for Carson, but they were changed to runs at the line. That's amazing to me. because Miles Sanders had 2 carries in the second half. Two. Okay. And I don't remember seeing that many plays running. And Shane's going to have the stats. He might prove me wrong on that, which is fine. Regardless, what I heard, translation of that comment from Doug Peterson is, oh, I called the right plays. My quarterback, I'm going to throw him under the bus. He checked to the wrong play. Wow. That's what we get out of Mr. This is the new norm. You get that. So you have that issue, right? So that's out there. Then my other thought will come to me as we continue to talk about this, but I don't understand how in 2 games now you've converted 3 third downs combined, and you have run 3 traditional rollout plays, and you think that you're in rhythm as a play caller.
Amazing.
You think that you have any idea or feel for the game. That, my friends, is a disgrace. And I said, I put a tweet out this week that got more, traction than any tweet I think I've ever put out. I said, all I can see is Frank Reich is 7-3 with a noodle-armed, aging Phillip Rivers, while the Eagles and Doug Peterson can't get out of their own way. So you cannot tell me that Frank Reich was not the big architect in 2017. You can't tell me anymore, because I'm watching them do it now with somewhat subpar quarterback play, but they're still getting the job done. And to me, we have to let go. Everyone says, "Oh, you're going to fire a guy who won the Super Bowl 3 years ago?" Yeah, because what are you going to do? Shane played this out for us a couple weeks ago. You can't get rid of Carson because of the money. Okay, so that idea should be gone for. And to be honest with you, I'm not. Everybody said, right? Let's go back to the Sixers. Get Brett Brown out of here. Give Ben and Joe a chance with another coach before you move on from them, right? Okay. Get Doug out of here. Give Carson a chance with a coach who's going to try and work to his strengths. And by doing that, to me, it's got to be Doug and Howie take a hike. The problem is I don't think Jeffrey Lloyd does it. But to me, that's the easy solution at the end of this year is clean coaching staff house. It's just, but sorry, I took a lot of time there, but I just had to get all that out.
You look at Doug. He was brought in as a player's coach, and he was brought in as an offensive-minded coach. And I think only 1 year he's actually had an offense that is like among the tops in the NFL. All the other years, they're in the bottom half of the league. The offense doesn't work. The players are bailing on Doug Peterson, period. You're up, Doug. You're up, Dylan. Sorry.
Well, just to say one thing about the Frank Reich thing that you brought up, Rob. Everyone loves to say Carson doesn't fit Doug's system. Nick Foles, just get another quarterback in that'll fit Doug's system. Well, doesn't that just prove the point that in 2017 it wasn't Doug's system, because there were 3 variables here: Doug, Carson, Frank Reich. 2 of them still exist here. 1 is in Indianapolis. So how are you going to tell me that was Doug's system, that Carson was the MVP of the league in 2017, but now he looks abysmal? So that's that. I want to start by saying Carson Wentz played poorly again. Carson Wentz wasn't good enough on Sunday. He doesn't get a pass. For everyone that wants to say I just defend Carson Wentz to a fault, okay? But my takeaway is that Doug is inept, right? And my other takeaway is that this fan base doesn't care about anything else but pushing a great talent out of town. Because at one point in the game, in the first quarter or into the second quarter, Carson Wentz was 8 of 10 with 11 yards per attempt. And he was still getting trashed on Twitter at that point. 8 of 10 with over 10 yards per passing attempt. And he was getting trashed. That's the narrative, because the Eagles were losing and it's his fault, right? But let's go to Doug Peterson, Rob. First drive. Carson rolls out on the first play, 22-yard completion. He runs the ball the next 5 or 6 plays. They get inside the 5. Miles Sanders fumble. They ran the ball down Cleveland's throat. They had no answer for it. The very next possession, when Carson throws the pick 6, Doug completely abandons the run. How do you watch what transpired the first possession of the game and then completely abandon it the next one. You alluded to it earlier. 14 carries for 62 yards in the first half. Don't want to about a full 60 minutes. Okay, I'll get to that. What's the name? 14 carries for 62 yards in the first half. 2 carries in the second half. Rob, you talked about it on the live stream. Jason Kelce gets injured. He comes out of the game. There's a monsoon coming down in Cleveland. There's an undrafted rookie center coming into the game who's never ran with the first team, right? Why wasn't Carson Wentz under center for that snap?
I got a better question on that point.
Play call. The play call?
No. Why is Nate Herbig not dressed?
Yeah, I know.
Dressing these 2 guys when Herbig is really your only true backup center on the roster.
Yep.
I don't know. He fell off a cliff. I don't know.
And it's not because of injury. They said
about it. No one even talked about the fact that he did this. Like, right. I don't know. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
So that same play is like a 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8, or whatever. And Doug tries to run a read option that the center completely gets destroyed on. He doesn't. What happened the first drive? Up tempo, went right down the field. The last drive, you could say the Browns, laid back a little bit. It was the end of the game. They had a 2-possession lead. Whatever. Up tempo. Carson marches right down the field. There's a touchdown pass to Dallas Goedert. He does nothing to help the kid out, right? And I know it sounds like I got my mini violin, and every week it's Carson needs help, but dude, do something to help him out. And the whole rolling him out of the pocket thing, I'm so over talking about it, Dibes. We said it last week. This very thing. It's common sense. Have a balanced attack, run the ball, and move Carson out of the pocket. And every week it doesn't happen. And the Joe Show, it's about a full 60 minutes. Okay, I agree. But the entire team hasn't played a full 60-minute game this entire year, and that's on the coaching staff. That's not on the quarterback.
It's the whole team. It's not just a quarterback. And when that happens, you got to look at your coaching staff. I mean, it's simple as that.
All right. What about you, Sean?
All right, so I want to hit on 2 things. The first one, I want to talk about the run-pass balance. But I'm going to talk about that second. I'm going to talk about the other one first. If you're Jeffrey Lurie, what do you do right now? Like, the team is a train wreck. We've talked about it before. Is the issue the head coach? Is the issue the defense? Is the issue the general manager? Like, there's so many variables. And so I was thinking, to me, there's 2 options. Okay, option 1 is you fire Howie today. Get him out of there. Get somebody else in to start getting ready for the draft, because Howie has built the oldest, most expensive roster in the NFL, and they stink. And so that's one option. I mean, you're not going to fire your head coach right now. You could fire your GM right now and get a jump start on replacing him. So maybe you do that. The other option is that you keep Howie, okay? And if you're going to keep Howie, if I'm Jeffrey Lurie, Schwartz, he's gone at the end of the year. He's out of here, okay? I'm going to hire an offensive coordinator who calls plays. I want Doug to be the head coach. If Doug pushes back on this, I'm firing Doug too. 100%. Doug's not calling plays next year. Ken Flagioli, gone. No linebacker has ever developed under him. Press Taylor, gone. Dave Phipp, gone. Special teams is a train wreck. And then I'm going to tell Howie, you can hire whoever you want, but you've got 2 years to turn this around, or you're gone too. To me, those are the 2 approaches you can take. I don't know which one's better. I don't think you can't fire everybody. Like, you've got to start eliminating variables. Jeffrey Lurie's got to sit down and look at it and decide which variable he wants to eliminate first. Okay. So now let's get on to the run pass thing, because this is what everybody wants to talk about. Okay. And so I talked about this some in my game review article, which everybody should go check out if you haven't seen it. But I put a tweet in there. I embedded a tweet. It was the neutral passing rate in week 11. Okay. So this is excluding the 2-minute drill. Okay, so we're removing the end of the half, and they are going off of Vegas win probability. So if your team is between 25 and 75% win probability, according to Vegas, so it's removing we're way ahead, we're grinding out the clock, we're way behind, we're playing catch up. How many times on first and second down did you pass the ball? And the Eagles are the second lowest in the league. Okay, for week 11, the Eagles ran the ball on neutral downs more than any team except the Jets, who, to be honest, aren't even trying right now. Okay, so that's one thing. The Eagles are running the ball more than people think. Okay, but another thing is the Eagles and there's no hard statistics for this, but the Eagles, they package run and pass plays together probably at a higher rate than almost any team in the NFL. They come to the line of scrimmage, they look at the defense, and they're going to call whatever play the defense is giving them. Okay, so traditional football, as simplified as you can get it, the idea is if there's two safeties high, they're in a light box, so we want to run the ball. If it's single high, let it fly, because you've got that +1 in the box that Schwartz is so dedicated to. We know so much about that. Well, if you're an opposing defensive coordinator, knowing that the Eagles package these plays, what are you going to do? Are you going to load the box and dare Carson Wentz to throw the ball? Or are you going to play back and let him run the ball? Now, I'm going to load the box, and that's what people are doing. And so this idea that we're not running the ball ever, that's not accurate. And for a lot of reasons. If you look at how successful running the ball was, if you look at the success rate of running plays, in the first quarter, the success rate of called runs was 78% for the Eagles, and we got 5.5 yards per carry. And everybody says, well, we went away from it. We didn't run the rest of the game. Well, when we did run the rest of the game, it didn't work. The success rate dropped to 50%. Okay, we dropped from 5.5 yards a carry to 3.4 yards per carry. Meanwhile, passing the ball, we're getting 7+ yards per attempt with a 52% success rate. And so, yeah, we got away from running the ball. Running the ball stopped working. Okay, and the problem is that our passing game isn't able to carry that when that happens. And so, why is that? I know everybody wants to make Miles Sanders out to be like, he's the thing. We have to ride him. Miles Sanders is the guy. But if you really look at it, and I'm a Miles Sanders fan, but if you compare Miles Sanders to Boston Scott, would it shock you to know that Boston Scott is better in almost every statistical measure? Yards after contact per rush, Boston Scott gets 0.3 of a yard more, 2.1 versus 1.8. Attempts per broken tackle, it takes Sanders 12.8 runs to get a broken tackle, 5.5. Scott is the more efficient runner. Scott has the higher PFF grade. He has a better elusiveness grade and pass protection grade when you look at PFF grades, which aren't everything, and they're both bad in pass protection. Hey, Scott's too small. Like we saw against the Giants, you had Scott come across on this blitz pickup, and I can't remember who it was, but he just like waylays this guy, and the guy still goes through him, and Wentz barely escapes. Like it took every ounce of his 5'6" frame to move this dude an inch. Okay. So Scott's too small to pass protect, and Sanders is just clueless. He has no idea who he's supposed to pick up. Okay. Then we look at passing the ball to these guys. When Carson Wentz this season, when he's passing to Boston Scott, he completes 76% of his passes. When he passes to Miles Sanders, he completes 52%. Okay. Passing to Scott, he gets 6.7 yards per attempt. Passing to Sanders, it's 3.5. Scott has double the success rate when Carson Wentz targets him. And Carson Wentz's QBR is 109 versus 47 passing to Scott versus Sanders. And so, again, all that to say, the narrative that the Eagles get away from the run, they totally abandon it. It's one thing against the Giants last week when it was working. The run was not working after the first quarter against the Browns. It really wasn't working after the first drive. When that fumble happened, momentum shifted, it was done. The run game was not the same after that. Okay? And that's on Miles Sanders. He has to hang on to the ball. He has to learn how to pass protect. He's got to be able to pick up blitzes. Wentz and Sanders aren't even on the same planet when it comes to running routes out of the backfield. And it's not all Wentz because he's able to connect with Scott. And so they've got to get on the same page if we want to see him more involved in the game. So that's my soapbox for the week, and I will continue to pound it. I criticized Doug and the Giants game review for getting away from the run. I'm not putting the blame on him for that in the Browns game because I don't think the stats bear that out.
I get it wasn't working, but 2 carries, Shane, in a half? 2?
He had 5. After the first quarter, Sanders had 5 carries, and only 2 of them did anything. And they still Scott was your better running back after the first quarter.
You got to look at who Boston Scott has played as well. You look at Boston Scott's run at the end of that last 4 or 5 game stretch. You can't play the Giants every single week. I love Boston Scott more than everybody.
Could.
The majority of his damage has been against the New York Giants. They're not necessarily a great run defense.
But and the other thing is, like, I understand what you're saying, but you cannot, in a one-score game in a monsoon, even if it's not working the way you need it to work, you can't abandon it the way – like, there's no reason in that game, with how close it was for most of it until the fourth quarter, that you threw 41 passes. Like, Carson Wentz should not be dropping back 41 times, especially when you – and Dan Orlovsky, who I have grown to love as an analyst, and not just because he loves Carson Wentz, but I love the way he breaks down plays. The pass protection on this team is as abysmal as it's been in maybe over a decade. I mean, it is so poor, and it's not just Jason Peters. So on the pick six, Dan Orlovsky did a tremendous job of break, and he said Carson missed the read. You know, it's a tough read, but Carson missed the read to Jalen Reagor. However, this play should never have ended up as a pick six. Maybe it only ends up as a 1-yard gain. But Dallas Goedert just doesn't even attempt to block the blitzing I guess safety or corner. I forget what it was. I mean, it was
Richard Rodgers.
It was Richard Rodgers. Okay, not Goddard.
No Dallas Goedert slander, but go ahead.
All right, Richard Rodgers. The tight end totally misses the block. So there's that play. The other play that Orlovsky broke down, and Dives is not going to be happy with me here because I'm going to take a shot at Greg Ward, okay, it's one of those post-corner routes on the same side of the field with the little bubble screen, okay, and to the blind eye, right, or to the normal, to what, you know, someone just watching the game, Carson looks like he throws the ball way behind Greg Ward, and it should have been picked.
Right.
But there's a looping linebacker that Jason Peters just never even sees, who is coming to attack. He's going to crush Carson. So Carson's got to get the ball out quick. And when he does, he throws it to where a better wide receiver knows, sit down, sit right there, and the ball hits you. But Greg Ward just keeps going and that's where I think the coaching's a problem. They're too robotic. I have to get from here to here. I can't stop anywhere else. And that's where I say, look, Carson has been bad, but there are certain plays in the game that we want to blame Carson, and I mean the fan base, that you can't. It's other guys, and that's the problem with this team. They stink all around.
I want to piggyback off of that because, Shane, I love the stat about how the Eagles' rushing attack works when they first start, and then it kind of dips off of that. I think that's more coaching. I think that's Doug Peterson. His scripted play calls, we've seen it multiple times this season. When they run up tempo and when they commit to the run, they go bang, bang, bang and score. That's on Doug Peterson's inability to adjust to the game and get his inability to have a feel for the game. That's where I see that coming from. He does not know at all what's happening actually on the field. That's how I took that statistic. Just
watching that game and like just going off of like the number Shane gave for the run. And trust me, I do understand like that they are running the ball more than we think. I just don't want to abandon it completely, like 2 carries in the second half. That's all I'm saying. But I would love to just for a minute, 2 drives, see what this offense looked like with the Browns scheme, right? Because the Browns rushing attack wasn't working for most of the game. At one point, the Eagles had 102 rushing yards. The Browns had like 20 or 21. And Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are probably the best duo in the entire league. But they don't stop doing it. And then where's Baker better? Baker Mayfield is better outside of the pocket, moving on the throwing on the run, right? They do a lot of play action bootlegs, a lot of play action rollouts. Why is that non-existent in our offense? If your quarterback is so much better outside of the pocket and you stick to running the ball and you have a balanced attack, why are there no play action bootlegs? Especially when you have tight ends that can get open. Like, I'm not saying play action bootleg and take a shot down the field like you used to see with Michael Vick to Deshaun Jackson. Just tight end slants, just motion, just not it's not there.
Yep.
2 things.
Go ahead, Shay.
So going back to the play, the pick six, Rob mentioned that, he missed Jalen Reagor. He's wide open. Did you guys see? I think I can't remember now. It was either Torrey Smith or Chris Long. I can't remember which one of them. But yeah, Torrey Smith was saying that he said Carson didn't miss that read. He said that the screenshot looks way worse than it is because, and he started talking about, the safety's already flipped his hips. He's sitting on that route. That's not as open as it looks. And he also said that they really like to run that route and get the running back out of the backfield to get the linebacker to dive down and then turn it up the sideline with that wheel route. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And I saw the same thing. I saw that screenshot. I was like, man, that's terrible. But just a little bit of food for thought on that. He might not have missed that read as badly as people think. But Rob brought up the pass protection, how bad the pass protection's been. And, I mean, Jason Peters he's awful. They should cut him today, to be honest. They should cut him. He should be gone. He was terrible. Okay. But Jason Peters and then the one completely missed block by Richard Rodgers on the pick six aside, which is hard to say, a pick six and a safety aside, they weren't that bad. But Carson Wentz had the second highest time to throw in the league in week 11. 3.2 on set. The only guy who held it longer was Baker Mayfield, and Baker's on all these rollouts. And so by design, he's going to hold the ball longer. So nobody held the ball longer than Carson in the pocket on Sunday. And only Tua had a higher aggressiveness rating from Next Gen Stats, meaning he threw into tight windows more frequently. So what does that mean? It means that Carson Wentz is holding onto the ball longer than anybody in the league, and he's still throwing to tightly covered receivers more than anybody else. So is the issue offensive line, or is the issue that we can't scheme receivers open and we don't have good enough receivers to get open on their own?
I think, listen, you may not have good enough receivers, but I think the scheme is the issue. Somebody put out, they are on top of the Eagles' routes. Defenses are on top of the Eagles' routes all the time. Does Carson miss reads? Sure. What quarterback doesn't miss open receivers, right? I mean, everybody. I mean, Jesus Christ. Tom Brady looked as pedestrian as I've ever seen him last night in certain situations, right? Quarterbacks miss reads. But more times than not, Shane, I think you're right. These guys don't get open. And
more times than not, I think I'm right, too.
Adam Kaplan actually said that the Eagles are running the same plays that they have been in the past. And the receivers are not getting open. And B, you said it, Rob, that this offense is way too predictable.
Well, you're not scheming guys to their strengths. You're playing your system. It's the same thing as Carson from the receiver standpoint. Why is Jalen Reagor not getting the ball in space? Why is he running all these routes that don't actually, emphasize what he's great at, which is speed? They don't do that. Why are they running the bubble screen to Greg Ward and not Jalen Reagor? There was a play last night in the Rams game where they ran a bubble screen to Robert Woods, and it was magnificent. The setup was magnificent, and he gains 45 yards on the play. That should be the Jalen Reagor play, not Greg Ward, not Richard, not a tight end, not anybody but Jalen Reagor. But they don't do that.
Who is the best receiver that Wentz has right now? Who's the best receiver on the team?
It's a great question.
What are we talking about? Stats, like chemistry? What are we talking about?
Just overall, who's his best receiver? Who's his best receiver?
I mean, I would say Greg Ward right now.
Greg Ward, college quarterback who was on a practice squad for years for a reason. Okay.
Right. And
Travis Fulgham, he's not a good route runner. He doesn't win with separation. He wins because he can win contested catches. Right. Jalen Reagor, he's a rookie in a weird offseason who's missed half of the year. We want to know why guys can't get open. We've got a bad route runner, a rookie that's missed half the year in training camp, and a college quarterback. What do you – I don't know what you expect. And it goes back to the offseason. You know how much money we paid Vernon Hargraves to come be our third defensive tackle who does nothing? A lot more than Robbie Anderson got paid to go be a stud wide receiver this year. But no, we were good to just take a first-round wide receiver, and that was it. That's all we needed to do because Alshon was going to be great. How'd that work out? Alshon's been targeted he's been active all season taking a roster spot. He's been targeted 3 times, and he's got 2 drops and then an interception that he gave up because he didn't even jump. Right. Like I tweeted that. The only reason that's not going down as a drop is because he jumped 8 seconds too. He's literally on the ground before Denzel Ward jumps. I tweeted a GIF of it. It's ridiculous. Okay, Deshaun, dude's played like 6 games in the last 3 years combined. But that was our plan at wide receiver.
So, Dobbs, I know you want to move on, but I have to put one thing to bed before we move on, right? And I want to pull this up. Swanky32 said Jalen Hurts will win a lot of games. No, he's just messing with that. I think Rob left before that guy came on in the comment section. But I want to put one thing to bed because this is going to be a topic of discussion about the Seattle game, especially with the comments that some Seahawks players were making, right? And I know there's a lot of Eagles fans out there that want the move to be made. I have a question for you. So it's known that Jalen Hurts, when he was picked, is a project quarterback, right? Let me ask you something. For all you people that want him to start against Seahawks but you need to bench Carson, Jalen Hurts would do better. Why is it that whenever Jalen Hurts is in the game, he's only allowed to run or hand the ball off? Why has he only thrown like 1 or 2 passes this year?
And I think that's a detriment to like.
I just want to throw that out there.
If a second-round pick was actually playing like a second-round pick, he would be playing instead of Carson Wentz, period. But he's clearly not.
It just makes that pick, this package that they put in, makes that pick even more of a joke than it was back in April or May when it was made and we all sat here and said, what the hell are you doing? It is an embarrassment that was a second-round pick on a team with this many holes. And you see some of the guys they could have had at that pick balling out. Balling out right now. Jeremy Chin comes to mind first and foremost for me.
I pounded the table for him so hard.
Oh, Dibes, how often did we talk about Jeremy Chin?
Nonstop.
On our draft?
Him and Christian Fulton. Those were my 2 guys.
Yeah. So, like, Dibes, I agree with you. The season's over, and we'll get to Seattle here. Crash and burn. Give me Jamar Chase. I know you, but give me that kid. Don't overthink the LSU wide receiver. Don't do it. Anyway, Justin Jefferson, another big week for Justin Jefferson, another touchdown. Just saying, put that out there.
So here's the thing for the start Jalen Hurts people. Okay, no franchise is committed more in terms of draft capital and in terms of money to their quarterback than the Eagles. They gave up a first, third, and a 4th round pick in 2016, and then 2016, and then a first and second in 2017 to go get the guy. They've paid him $128 million, 107 of which is guaranteed. Okay, moving on from Carson Wentz after this year, whether it be trade or cutting him, which is not going to happen, that costs them $25 million extra dollars next year, and we're already like $50 million over. That's not happening. Okay, you could move him after 2021, and it would save you $6 million. So yay! That's also not going to happen.
It's also hilarious. God.
I was saying, if Howie Roseman gets fired or if Doug Peterson gets fired, the next GM, the next head coach that comes in, they will come in with the purpose of fixing Carson Wentz, not to replace him. This isn't going to be clean house and choose your guy. They're going to come in and they're going to have to fix him. Now, the Eagles brought this on themselves when they drafted Hurts. That was an asinine pick. We all knew it at the time. Smartest guy in the room syndrome, right? All of that said, though, benching Wentz right now might be good for the long term. Okay? I'm not saying they should or they shouldn't. I'm saying playing is not making it better. And so maybe he needs to take a step back for a week. Maybe he needs to take a step back for 2 weeks. But if the idea that they're going to bench him, you're done, Hurts is our long-term guy, that's not the answer. And it's not going to work.
No.
Hurts has the same issues that Wentz does. He's a slow processor. He has poor pocket management. He's got bad deep accuracy. Like, Hurts is a lesser version of Carson Wentz, but maybe he gives you a spark. He definitely gives you more mobility. And so maybe you can scheme around that. I don't know.
My thing is, yeah, it shouldn't be the long-term issue, but the drama and the mess they've created with this fan base and everything and how it affects Carson's confidence and whatnot. So we've seen it time and time again with rookie quarterbacks or guys that come into the league and they light the league on fire for a couple of games because there's nothing on them until defenses figure them out. So what happens when Jalen Hurts comes in and, let's say, wins 2 games in a row and looks really good because defenses have no idea what scheme for this kid, right? What happens then? Because what do you think this city is going to want after 1 or 2 good games from Jalen Hurts? They're never going to want Carson Wentz to be back as a starting quarterback of this franchise. And that's the mess they created. You're right. But my thing is, the second you do that, it's different. It is different than McNabb getting benched against Baltimore for Kevin Kolb. There wasn't a quarterback controversy. McNabb was abysmal. They sat him down. Get your head out of your ass. There was 110% a major controversy, right or not, with a large portion of this fan base that you created. The second you make that switch, I don't know if there's a going back to it.
Yep. Joe Show is joining. Said, what happened with Howie? Why has he been so quiet? Ruben Frank had a really interesting conspiracy theory about why they're playing Jason Peters over Jordan Mailata. He said it is 100% because of Andre Dillard being the franchise starting left tackle in the future, and they don't want to boost up Jordan Mailata for the future controversy of being a potential left tackle. And money-wise, it's all money.
It's all money, and this is the issue. They cannot admit when they miss on these guys. It takes them forever to admit when they miss.
Yep.
Like, guess what? If Jordan Mailata is the better player, you play him. There should be no argument here.
Yeah.
Like if you want to win, listen, and to be honest with you, this is better for the long term and the short term. He's your better option now, but you're also getting him time for the future. Even if you believe you're going to go back to Andre Dillard, well, then Mailata would become a trade chip, right? I mean, I don't understand what the harm is in playing this kid. It's an absolute embarrassment. Look, they were a flash in the pan in 2017, and we need to understand that now. This was not a team that was ready to be built for success. They caught lightning in a bottle, and they had a hell of a year from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. They're not that good. From a general management to a coaching staff, they are not that good.
As a huge
fan, you don't get to Seattle soon. I know you.
As a huge fan of Jason Peters, that was really tough to watch Sunday. That was really like I made a comparison. That was like watching Ryan Howard fall and tear his Achilles and just watch him collapse in Philadelphia. Like, it's not easy, man. That watching Jason Peters Sunday, that had to be his worst game. That had to be his worst game. Yeah.
Olivier Vernon hasn't had a 3-sack game since 2013. He had a 3-sack game against Jason Peters.
Well,
play Mailata. Even you might need Mailata to be your right tackle of the future. Just saying, yeah. Lane looks just as bad as Jason Peters.
Lane hasn't been very good, and I know he's been banged up, but he hasn't been very good this year.
He is 1,000%. He's not health. Like, you see the play that I tweeted out, of him and JP just both getting bull rushed right into Carson Wentz. Like, if you watch offensive line much, if you watch Lane Johnson, the way that he likes to handle bull rushers is he is always given ground. He gives ground, he redrops his anchor, and he's good. He can't do that. Like, his ankle is not – I mean, I respect the guy for coming out and trying to play, because especially knowing how bad a shape the offensive line is in. But, like, he just can't do it. He gives that ground like he's used to, and when he tries to drop his hips and set that anchor, he just can't do it. And so I'm not concerned about him long-term unless he continues getting injured, but he's definitely not playing well right now.
We have my man Mike Small saying the O-line sucks. The receivers are awful. Zach Ertz isn't there. Poor scheme and poor talent. 3-6-1. You're not wrong. Go check out the Killing Me Smalls podcast. I'm just editing his recent pod with David Early of Liberty Ballers. Awesome Sixers chat.
He had a great tweet to me today. I put something out there, and he said, "Rob, I'm really tired of you staying introverted. Tell me how you really feel."
Awesome. My man Matt McGinney of the Faithful Fanatics. The Eagles have made more project picks in the last 2 drafts than the amount of projects I did in 16 years of school. There it is. All right, let's talk about the Seattle Seahawks.
Do we have to?
Yeah, I'm out.
See, hashtag loss. End of discussion. All right.
I think all we should talk about is how many catches and how many yards and how many touchdowns one DK Metcalf will have this week, as he does every time he plays the Eagles.
Do you all remember that? He had that
he has more than JJ Whiteside.
Yeah, I have a feeling he's going to outplay JJ this week. I have a feeling.
Oh, bold. That's pretty bold, man. That's pretty bold. Everyone remembers when DK Metcalf had 160 yards versus the Eagles, man. That was my nightmare. The Seahawks took down the Arizona Cardinals 28-21 last weekend. Russell Wilson threw for 197 yards and 2 touchdowns. My top matchup, my top storyline here is stopping the Seahawks offense, which is among the tops in the NFL. Russell Wilson, this guy had a bounce back game last week. He was 23 of 28. He had no interceptions. The offense finally incorporated a balanced attack, as crazy as it sounds, that helped a struggling quarterback. Wouldn't that be nice? But Russell's 2 touchdown passes made him the 3rd quarterback in NFL history to throw for at least 30 touchdowns in 4 consecutive years, joining Brett Favre and Drew Brees. The Seahawks have the 4th best total offense in the league, averaging 400 yards per game and 4th most yards per play at 6.2. The Seahawks are among the best in the league in passing and rushing across the board. And doing a little deep dive on the Seattle Seahawks. So the Seattle Seahawks are among the best in points per quarter in the 1st and 3rd quarters. It's the exact opposite for the Philadelphia Eagles defense, which gives up the nearly the most points per quarter in the same respective quarters.
Awesome.
It is. Yeah, go ahead.
Just awesome. That's great.
It is vital for the Eagles to come out the gate in that 1st quarter and out the half ready to play disciplined, mistake-free football. If not, this game has blowout written all over it. And lastly, I want to give a shout-out to my man, Russell Wilson. Talk about one of the most feared football players across the NFL. There are very few players in the NFL that, give me nightmares as an Eagles fan. Russell Wilson is absolutely one of them. So the Eagles have a steep hill to climb this Monday night. Who wants to go first?
I'll go just because I'm completely the opposite of you. I agree with everything you had to say. But I'm going to tell you right now, this Eagles defense is not going to slow down Russ. Even if they slow him down, he's still putting up 28 points. So my key matchup is the other side of the ball, the Eagles offense versus the Seahawks defense. Because if the Eagles offense – now, I know we look like absolute shit against the Cowboys, but we're a drop pass away from putting 30, so, changes some things, right? If the Eagles offense cannot move the ball and score against this defense, I have no words. Now, I don't expect them to, but that's the key to me. You have to somehow, win a shootout against Russ and the Seahawks. So can this Eagles offense move the ball and consistently put up points from start to finish for a full 60 minutes and, just keep Carson. And then to go to your point, Dives, can the defense make a play at the end of the game and have Carson in a position to where, hey, get 3 or we need a touchdown and we win, whatever. Just keep it close.
That I'm just going to piggyback back off of that because I have 3 keys here. That's my second one. The fact that Doug Peterson is on the national stage, being on the hot seat. The fact is, Pete Carroll's defense ranks bottom 5 in the scoring in the NFL in scoring. And if Doug Peterson's offense can't generate any offense like they've done in recent weeks, what more can you say?
Yeah,
that's a major storyline.
The Eagles were also winless in the 1 o'clock window this year, and they're undefeated in the primetime window. So we'll see how that goes.
Jesus, that's where we're at. That's what we have to, hang our hat on. All right. To me, the matchup is simple. Pete Carroll has owned Doug Peterson. So Doug has to get out of his own way and not be owned. I don't think anything else matters. The shame of it is the Seattle team this year, if the Eagles were just a little better, I think Seattle has been an inconsistent team this year. I know they're 7-3, 8-3, whatever it is, but they've had some games where, because their defense is so poor, if their offense isn't clicking, they can be had. You can get them. You know what I mean? And if the Eagles were playing semi-good football, I'd say, hey, they have a chance. You know what I mean? But for me, and I think I already know who's going to win this battle, but to me, it comes down to the coaches. Can Doug Peterson shock Pete Carroll by actually doing the shit he needs to do to put his team in a better position to win? Can Jim Schwartz not be so vanilla on defense? And it's one of those situations where you're not going to stop him. You can only hope to contain, because Russell Wilson is just a magician. And, and it's like, okay, if Darius Slay's going to cover DK Metcalf, great. Tyler Lockett's no slouch. I mean, he played a game, and they may be getting Chris Carson back this week. I don't know if they are or not. I don't know if you guys.
I believe they are.
But, and their running game, it can be legit. It's a shame. It's a shame because I really feel like if the Eagles were playing better football that they could steal this one. But because of what we've seen over the last 5 weeks, and that includes 2 wins, 2 losses, and a bye, I don't think any of the matchups that we're talking about matter because I just don't think that they're going to be able to put up enough points or stop Seattle.
I made a lot of comments during our live stream, and you can find it during the best of our live stream video. I was probably about 6 Jack Daniels deep, but I made several comments where, like, is there light at the end of the tunnel that Doug Peterson's getting so embarrassed right now that the Eagles are going to have to finally move on from 2017? The fact that this game's on the national stage might finally make Jeffrey Lurie stand up and be like, enough is enough is enough. And finally it's not going to happen this year. I'm not saying it's happening this year, but that's the fear, is that they're going to run it back.
If you remember the Chip Kelly debacle and how he was fired before the last week of the season, they had lost a couple of primetime games to the Giants and the Redskins, I believe. And a couple weeks earlier than that, an embarrassing fact. I mean, they were the games where, if you remember, Jason Peters said, I'm going to play hurt for what? Like, they were like, you could just tell the whole team had just given up. And Jeffrey Lurie didn't like that, didn't like the primetime embarrassment. But in 2005, they were beat 42-0 in a primetime game against the Seattle Seahawks. So, I don't know. I mean, I really hope that Jeffrey Lurie is taking a long, hard look. I don't think he's going to fire Doug, but what Shane said is correct. If you plan on keeping Doug, you need to make it clear he will have an offensive coordinator who calls the plays, or he could go somewhere else, hands down.
What about you, Shane?
My matchup to watch for Monday night is liquor stores in Philadelphia versus the demand generated by halftime. I mean, I'm not sure if they're going to be able to keep up with the demand during this one. The Seahawks own the Eagles, right? 7 out of the last 8 times they've played, the Seahawks have won. The 2014 Eagles couldn't beat the Seahawks. The 2019 division champion Eagles didn't beat the Seahawks. The 2017 Super Bowl champion Eagles didn't beat the Seahawks, and those were good teams. Like, this isn't a good team, right? I mean, I'm looking forward to the live stream more than the game, to be honest. It will at least be entertaining.
Wait till I get on in the second half. I'll bring the fire.
Oh man.
My fear is going to be so out of reach. Rob's going to be like, dude, I'm going to bed.
I literally have considered, instead of drinking beer or mixed drinks, I'm just going to bring my bottle of Tito's and put it on my lap and just consistently just take little swigs of Tito's. I think that's the only way I can get through a half of that game.
I think it's very telling that Dives is wearing a Phillies hat. Rob's wearing Sixers gear. I'm the only person here wearing Eagles gear, and that's because football is the only sport I watch anyways. There we go. I love that logo, by the way.
I had 3 masks that I wear to work. and I've lost 2. The only one I have is my damn Eagles one, and I have seriously considered ripping the little sticker that's like sewed on there and just rocking it as a plain black one. I'm embarrassed to put it on. I'm actually embarrassed to put it on right now.
I got this for my birthday. It says love.
You don't love them.
That's the exact opposite of my feelings with the Eagles right now.
And
No. You do love them because there's no other explanation to why you're still watching.
It's the most toxic relationship I've ever been in.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So here's the thing: the Seahawks this year. You know how many times they've been held under 30 points this season?
Oh,
I'll say 2 times.
Once?
3 times.
Wow.
3.
Okay.
It's mostly all the upper 20s, but 3 times they've been held under 30 points.
What's
you know
their
how many
lowest?
times? I don't have it pulled up anymore. I think it was 22. I think it was like 22. You know how many times the Eagles have scored over 28?
Once.
And they lost because the defense gave up 38. Okay? Like, I honestly can't even see this being a game.
There was a time where the Eagles, like you were like, all right, just hit your 30 mark and you never lose. Well, they can't they haven't hit the 30 mark. What? They haven't 29.
That was 2017. That was 2017, right? They were pumping offense, man. That was a great season for
Remember the Denver game?
Oh, I remember the Denver game.
My other key matchup here is the Eagles defense versus the Seattle Seahawks running attack. The Seahawks running attack was really strong last week. 165 yards. Carlos Hyde had 79 yards in the score. Make sure you watch out for that guy. The Seahawks ran the board more than they passed for only the second time this past week, which took pressure off of Russell Wilson. Imagine how nice that must be. Imagine. The Eagles are now among the bottom in the NFL in rushing defense. They give up 133.4 yards per game and the 3rd worst rushing touchdowns per game at 1.5. And despite having one of the best rushing attacks in the league, the Eagles actually average more rushing yards per carry than the Seattle Seahawks at 5 yards per carry, which is good for 3rd best in the NFL. Let's go on to game predictions. Lead us off, Shane. You're up, man.
So right now, Vegas has the Seahawks favored by 5.5. And I'm just telling you, whatever amount of expendable cash that you have, I'd dump that on the Seahawks because there is no way. Now, all of that said, the way this Eagles team is and the way this year is, the Eagles will probably win in overtime somehow. Like, because that's just what's going to happen. Like, we're all done with this team. We're writing the obituary. We're ready to fire everyone. And they'll somehow, like, eke out a win in overtime, and we're all going to be, like, wearing our Super Bowl shirts again. But I don't see it. I think Seattle probably wins in a blowout. I'm thinking, like, 38-10. I don't think it's going to be pretty. But the one thing I am excited to see is the last time we played a quarterback with this degree of mobility was against the Ravens, and Davion Taylor saw significant snaps, shadowing Lamar. And so I'm wondering if the Eagles are going to employ that same approach facing the Seahawks, especially with Gary out anyways. I'm interested to watch Taylor because that's all we've really got left, right, is watching the young guys, watching a rookie, hoping you catch lightning in a bottle. So I'm excited for that, but I don't expect this to be a close game at all.
Lamar Jackson's offense, they were kind of out of sync, though. This passing attack with Seattle is absolutely legit. What about you, Dylan?
All right, so I was ready to just come on the show, do the live stream on Monday, like just get through this week and just be like, nah, season's over, it's a loss. And then DK Metcalf had to go out and piss me off a little bit because I do love being Carson Wentz. Keep my quarterback's name out of your mouth, DK, you enormous man. Okay, so now he pissed me off. And now, like I said on the live stream at the end of it, don't let the Birds win this game. Don't let it happen because I'll get a train going like no one's ever seen before. With that being said, the Eagles will not win this game. They have no chance of holding the Seahawks to under 30. However, I disagree with Shane a little bit because, guys, we talk about it all the time. This Eagles team, offense and defense together, play to their competition.
Mm-hmm.
They've done it. They did it with Pittsburgh. They did it with Baltimore. They played down to Washington. They played down the Cowboys and the Giants. So I do think it'll be a close game. Kind of not like the mess that we saw with Cleveland, but the same like form in that it's close for like 2.5, 3 quarters, and then in the fourth quarter it's a 12-point game. Seattle's got the ball, and that's how it ends.
What about you, Rob?
Well,
Pick them, Rob. Pick them.
It would be really easy for me to just say it's going to be 45-0, but that's not going to happen. No, listen, I don't think it's going to be close. I have zero faith in this team.
Yeah.
There are times where I agree with what Dylan said, like, oh, this is the game, where they come out and they play well. But I just think this team's done. I think mentally, I think their approach to the game has been horrendous. I think it'll probably be, I'm going to say it's 34-20, but it's not even that close. Like it's 34-13 and they score. They seem to score a late touchdown every week to make the final score look better. I don't know how they get out of their own way. I just don't know how any of them get out of their own way. And when you're playing a 7-3, 8-3 team, it typically ain't going to go well for you. So yeah, it's a rout. We'll be just joking around at halftime talking about draft picks
and Eagles trivia.
I'm telling you one thing, though. I'm going to be fired up before the game starts.
I've got the similar. I'm going 31-17. You're talking about an Eagles football team that deserve zero faith or optimism right now. There's no way anybody in their right mind could say, Eagles W, baby. But you're talking about a quarterback that can't stop turning the ball over, a coaching staff that can't look at themselves in the mirror, just across the board. No accountability. I don't see anything changing from what we've seen over these last 11 weeks. Nothing. Nada. Let's wrap this up with plugs. You're up, Rob.
Well, I totally forgot that Thursday was Thanksgiving, so there won't be a madness this week.
A different kind of madness.
This week is, first of all,
food coma madness.
One of the worst slates of Thanksgiving games. And there was supposed to be a good one in Ravens Steelers, but now the entire Ravens organization has COVID, so they're on their fourth string running back or whatever. So, you're going to have bad football. You got to be socially distanced. So, if you're used to big Thanksgivings, you're probably not going to get that. And then to make it all better, on Monday, you get to watch the Eagles lose by 30 points to the Seattle Seahawks. So there will be madness in your lives. It just won't be us on Thursday. But we did have a good show last week. We will be back. And then obviously Party on Broad and then catch the live stream. We're going to have a lot of fun with it again. Like I said, I don't think I could get on in the beginning, but I will certainly be on by the second half.
What about you, Dylan?
Faithful Fanatics podcast will be live tomorrow on the Painted Lines Twitter and YouTube at 5 from 5 to 6. So come check that out. We'll be bitching and moaning about the Eagles some more, talking about the Sixers draft and free agency moves so far. So at least there's a little bit of positivity right now in the city, at least before they start. And then, Rob said TPL Live on Monday. We'll be streaming the game again, so that'll be a lot of fun. And Faithful Fanatics merch is up on TeePublic with the Painted Lines, so go check that out.
Oh, I forgot. Hashtag Voice of the People. My man Rob. Philly _Madness. Hashtag Voice of the People.
I am going to create a shirt. I'm going to get it to Blevins, and we're going to put that shit online. I vow to be the voice of the people. I vow to not let scumbags from Cleveland, Ohio, tell me how great Cleveland is when it sucks and their team sucks. I will call you out. I am the voice of the Philadelphia fan. Even if you don't agree with me, I am still the voice that will always be here for you. Just remember that.
Shane.
Well, I don't have cool podcasts or anything to plug, but go check out my work on the Painted Lines. My game reviews are up. We've got another article coming out later this week that won't get too much into, but we're going to look at basically how we got where we are now. So that should be a very fun read, at least. So in the absence of other things to plug, I wanted to plug BetterHelp.com, because if you're still listening to Eagles podcasts and reading game reviews and watching games, you might need help. And for $40 a week, they'll give you access to a licensed therapist via text message or phone call. So check them out at betterhelp.com. I don't have an affiliate link. I wish I did because I could probably make a lot of money off of that.
Oh man, that's the greatest.
Again, I swear, dude, if there's a bunch of Cleveland fans in our comments tomorrow night, I'm coming straight for you. You can.
I haven't looked at the weather, but I guarantee you it's raining in Cleveland right now.
All right, guys, where do we start? I am off the NBA draft binge. It was like a March to November binge, and now I'm going to take probably a week off, and then I'm going to really start jumping right into Eagles draft targets. That is my passion, and I'm like, I just need a week off, and then I'm going to start pumping out Eagles content on the NFL draft and Eagles draft targets. It's going to be a blast. TPL live. We're going to live stream during the Eagles versus Seahawks. It's going to be a ton of fun, even if you're not an Eagles fan, even if you are a Seahawks fan. Come on.
We'll root for them with you. It's a good thing. Fans aren't allowed.
Whoa. No, we will not. I don't care how bad they are.
It's a good thing there's fans not allowed in the stands because there might not be any there anyways, even if they were allowed, to be honest.
The funniest part about the Cleveland Browns Eagles live stream where all the Cleveland Browns fans jumping on the pod and going woof 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 woof. Like that was the most pussy.
Harry show.
No. I will tell everyone the funniest part of it, and Dibes did not include it in his 14-minute video.
What
is when Dibes was about eight Jack Daniels deep, and he's speaking, and his daughter appears from the screen, and you hear a thump, and Dibes goes, "Uh-oh," and then just
talking.
To be fair, my wife was sitting right next to me. All right. She didn't just like crack her head open and just like bleed to death. So it's all good. She only lost like 1,000 brain cells. It's fine. It's fine.
It's all good. Baby. They all bang their heads. They're good.
All right. This is the Painted Lines YouTube channel. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe. Tons and tons of content. I think we're pumping out like at least 1 or 2 videos per day now. So make sure you check us out. We are here. This is Party on Broad every Tuesday night. I don't know if we're doing pregame shows anymore. I don't know what we're going to do, but I promise you we'll be jumping into Sixers and the Flyers very, very soon. Maybe sooner than later. We'll see how Monday night goes. But anyway, thank you everyone here for watching. Thank you for everyone here to comment. It was a ton of fun. For Dylan, for Rob, the voice of the people, for Shane. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay awesome.
Go Sixers.
Sixers win it! Wow! Oh man, and being just posterized Russell Westbrook